time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan in the UP, and our guest is sitting in the wings anxiously awaiting. But before we get started tonight, Danny, why don't you take care of some quick business and talk about the people who support us?
Absolutely. There's nothing better than helping us help our supporters out, and you know how to do that. Nothing like helping out, starting off with Rebel 6 Rubs. Go on over to their website, rebel6rubs.com. Using our promo code, you can get what percentage off, Mike?
That would be 20% off.
20% using our promo code on the checkout there, and then that would help us help them. But that's not all, you know, because we got Buck Baits. It's getting about that time. We just talked about it before we went on the record, and you said we were less than 90 days to bow season and hunting season. So how about going over to buckbaits.com, checking their lineup over there of things they got on their website, and you'll get what percentage off?
20%.
There you go. Use our promo code there, and that'll help us help them. But you know what? I bet you Mike's drinking it.
You know it.
I was drinking it this morning, but Hunter's Blend Coffee. They've been helping us out, so let's go help them out. Go over to huntersblendcoffee.com, and you can get a percentage off your checkout there.
10%.
There you go, using our promo code. And that helps us help them, and what better way to do it?
Absolutely, you know, and yeah, I do. I've got my cup of coffee here, sporting my new cup, my new tumbler that my daughter made for Father's Day, the Up North Journal logo, and on the back it says Dad with some hunting logos in there, so pretty cool. We're going to get some of these made up for Up North Journal. You never know, they might wind up for sale here, so
cool.
Might have to check that out. Tony Thompson says, hey guys, and Terry DeFaw's in the house, and Alex Fedawai. Welcome, guys. And so, Danny, let's just kick this thing off. You set this one up tonight, so I'm going to let you do the introduction here.
Well, you know what? As everybody knows, with the unfortunate, we lost Spot Shooters Archery. And within the Fenton area, we've picked up a new PSE dealer and SunRy Archery. So now we're spending our time over at SunRy Archery, and we thought we'd bring them on. We thought we'd bring on the store manager, Derek Vaughn himself, and talk about SunRy. Get us to know SunRy Archery and what it's all about.
Welcome to the show, Derek.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going good tonight. I talked to you a little bit earlier. You all relaxed now? You were trimming trees, right?
Yeah, me and my brother did a couple big removals today. Pretty wore out, honestly, but it is what it is. Money's good.
Right. Hopefully you didn't get any ticks on you, man. Ticks have been bad this year. That's one thing I worry about.
Yeah, you know, I haven't actually run into any this year, honestly. I've heard a lot of stories, but I've had good luck so far.
Well, you know, we wanted to talk about all kinds of stuff with archery tonight, you know, and we got the bow season coming up, but we also, like Danny said, want to get to know SunRy. You're the store manager over there at SunRy. Tell us a little bit about, you know, how long you guys been there, how long you've been with them, and you guys are a new PSE dealer, right?
Yep. PSE's new for this year. As far as the store goes, I started pretty much from day one when the store opened there off of Torrey Road. That would have been in 2013, so 7 years ago. Seems like 2, but it flies by. So
right.
But yeah, PSE, you know, there was a turn of events there, a couple turn of events with Vans, you know, down in Whitmore Lake going out of business, and then you know, the unfortunate, you know, with Jim over there at Spot Shooter last fall. That was, you know, you never want to see that. You know, even if it is a competitor, you know, he's from all accounts a good guy. I only met him once or twice and never really got to know him, but by all accounts a good guy. And it just left a big void in that area as far as PSE dealers, so it made perfect sense for us to bring them in, being the only line that we really didn't carry as far as the big lines go.
Right.
You know, in my opinion, they make a great bow. You know, whether it's a $200, $300 bow or a $1,600 bow, they're all good. You know, they got bows across all price points, fit our market, and it just made perfect sense at the time. So it was a move we decided to make.
Well, we're sure glad that you guys got him because, like you said, there was a big void there when Jim passed, and then, like you said, Van's down the road.
Yep.
You know, I looked at Danny. I'm like, what do we do now? Where do we go? Because
Literally, that's exactly what he said.
there's nobody around. You know, there's nobody in this area that had PSE. You know,
Right.
so we're so thankful that you guys have got him, and the fact you're really just down the road from me. You're like 5 miles from my house and 5 miles from Dan's. I mean, you're right in between us, so it's very
Perfect.
convenient for us. So, and you guys got a beautiful shop too. I mean, the inside. When I come over there and we talked that first time, I was blown away. It's just got that home cabin style atmosphere to it. It's a really cool place.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a pleasure to work there. Jeff, the owner, he doesn't do anything halfway. If we're going to do it, we want to do it and do it the best. So that's kind of our motto and what we strive for. And it's so far it's worked out well. We're doing very well.
Well, it's good to have, like I said, good to have you guys there. But one thing I do want to touch on before we even get really into it, but you go into most bow shops and they've got archery equipment, they've got all the gear, from targets, broadheads, releases, arrows, the whole 9 yards. But you guys have got other items there for hunters, and you've got a whole section just dedicated to boots, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, we started doing just basically like lacrosse rubber boots and a few work boots in the corner of the shop, and we were doing so well with it. We had the space. We just decided to open up a whole boot store, and it's really kind of taken off in the last 6 months to a year, I think, almost to its own entity where it's almost standalone, successful. On top of that, we added the Sitka clothing line to kind of go along with that, high-end. We're looking for that high-end customer in those areas, so it's gone really well. We carry some of the high-end boot lines for Western hunters, Kenetrek, Crispy, Loa, all of those. I'm just amazed at how well they sell, even at the price points, $300-400 for a pair of boots, and it's crazy.
Well, we're starting to see a lot of that trend as well throughout the industry. People that take up bow hunting, they're not just your usual stick and string archers anymore. I mean, these guys are going to new extremes. We're seeing a lot of, like Danny and I, when we were at ATA this year, we talked, with several people, and the big thing now is getting in shape for these extreme hunts, and people are doing extreme hunts and going out west and climbing in the mountains. So you're starting to see people spend money on that higher end gear. I take it that's kind of what led you guys in this direction?
For sure. Not just the hunting, but even the extreme shooting. The guys are shooting, all these total archery challenge type shoots, shooting 100, 150 yards nowadays, and it's just crazy. So, I mean, guys, everybody used to buy $50 a half dozen arrows. Now guys are spending $150 on a half a dozen arrows. They're buying $100 a pack broadheads so they can fly good at 100 yards plus. It's kind of getting pretty wild, actually.
Well, you talk about the Total Archery Challenge. Danny and I will be shooting that for the second year now. We're going up at the end of August. They moved that date back because of the COVID stuff going on. But
yeah.
So, yeah, I know what you mean. You're talking about the long shots. We've been practicing our 100-yard shots and getting ready for that. But, yeah, it's definitely a different world out there in the archery scene, and it's kind of taken off in, I don't know, the last 5 to 10 years. You've seen that big push from what we've seen.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, long range shooting. We sell a lot of movable sights, way more than we used to. Not just one pin, but multiple pins, 3, 4, 5 pin setups, where they can leave it set 20, 30, 40, for their whitetail Midwest hunts. But if they want to go out west or they want to go to the Total Archery Challenge, they can dial that thing to 100, 120 if they want to, and take that shot. On an animal that's out of my comfort zone, but I know there's guys that are capable of that kind of stuff, and it's kind of mind-boggling, actually.
Yeah, it's cool to watch people that can make those shots consistently on big game and take those shots. It's really cool. But right now, at those distances, I'm just sticking to poke and foam.
yeah, me too.
Exactly, right? It's one of those things that you're definitely your comfort zone. And when you're out there zinging an arrow 100 yards at a target and hoping you get your arrow back. But, it's definitely the comfort zone is extreme, that's for sure.
Yep.
Last year, I remember Danny and I, there's a couple times we walked up to the stake and looked like, where's the target, and you're looking and looking and looking. And it's like, oh my gosh, there it is, way down there, or way up there on the hill. Some of those shots are, I think this year we're shooting 2 days and one of them is supposed to be like 60 to 100 yards. And so I think I'll take the target bow that day. I don't think I'll take the hunting bow. I'm just not set up for that kind of distance.
It'll be fun. For sure.
It's going to be a riot. So are you going up for that by chance?
I was kicking around the idea if it was in June, but now that it's in August, it's probably not realistic with the store hours and the business we do that time of year. It's pretty hard to get away.
So things picking up for you right now this time of year, I got to imagine.
Big time. Well, this has been by far the best June we've ever had, and obviously we were closed for 10 or 11 weeks there. So I kind of figured we'd have a pretty big June, but it's been even more so than I expected. I mean, we have bows in there for service now like we normally do end of August, early September. So a lot of guys got pushed back, and then a lot of guys are getting ready. And a lot of the guys seem to get ready earlier and earlier every year anyway now, especially the guys doing the Western hunts. They could be hunting in 2 months. You know, some of those states, they have seasons that open in August.
Right.
Early September. So, I mean, we're only 8 weeks from, some of those Western states' seasons opening.
Right on. Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here close to our first break. Why don't we take a quick step outside? We'll take a first break and come back. We'll talk a little bit about getting set up for the season, if you don't mind. So,
sounds good.
All right. We'll step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back, second segment of the show. Sitting up here in the cabin, chilling tonight. Danny's in the UP, and we're talking with Derek Vaughn from SunRy Archery. You said things are getting busy over there. For people who put things off, and they say, man, you just remind me, I need to get X, Y, and Z done to my bow. And maybe it's just not your shop. Maybe they're out west, and they're saying, I got to get to the shop. I mean, for you right now, what kind of time frame are you looking at? If somebody would walk in the door and say, I want to get a new string put on, what kind of time frame are they looking at for it?
We're pretty good year round. Even during the busy season, we might stretch it out a couple days, but you're looking at usually 5 business days on strings and cables, sometimes less than that in the slow time. So depending on what day you get the bow in there, it could be a week, 7 or 8 days, but if there's a weekend mixed in there, but it could get pushed out to 9 or 10 in an extreme busy situation. We'll see. With our two closest competitors not there right now, it could be a little bit crazier than normal this year. So I really don't know what to expect. Right now, if the trend continues, it's going to be wild. I mean, we got a lot of bows in there right now.
I was in there Saturday ago, and I was amazed at how many people were already in the store. Just it was packed on a Saturday, and I was actually like, wow, this is, and I talked with you briefly because you were so busy, and I just wanted to let you be and get your work done. But with your competitors not being around, and now it falls on your shoulders and picking up, actually kind of just warning people. It sounds like you might want to actually start thinking of getting in early to get ahead of the curve.
For sure. I mean, if you can get your bow in, the sooner the better. Just for peace of mind, you're not having to worry about how long it's going to take. You get it in now, you got plenty of time, even if it takes 10 days, which, like I said, that's a rare occasion. But, you start waiting until September, then you start worrying and guys start putting pressure on you. It doesn't make us feel good. It puts more pressure on everybody. So the earlier the better. Obviously, there's always going to be an emergency situation. Seems like, especially with crossbows, a lot of accidental dry fires or derails, stuff like that. The week or two leading up to season, or even the first week of season. So you're always going to have that. But if you got a bow and you have the time to get it in, the sooner the better. As far as we're concerned.
We just mentioned crossbows there. We got a question coming in from Adam Wynn. He's just south of here, and he's asking about crossbow strings. You guys obviously do crossbow strings, but do you build strings there, or are they just custom strings that you order in?
We order custom strings.
Okay.
We would need 1 or 2 full-time employees if we tried to build strings. It's not feasible with the staffing we have.
I got you.
We typically use America's Best Bowstrings out of Ohio, and we're a huge dealer of those for them. Big fan of theirs. We're actually the number 2 dealer in the whole country the last 2 years in a row, so we do a lot of strings with them, and very, very few issues. And the few issues we have had, there's so many bows out there, it's hard to get them all right. Serving specs, bows that are 20, 30 years old, trying to find specs. Stuff happens. They always take care of us and the customer, as soon as possible. They'll next day us a string if we need to. Just have had really good luck with them as a company.
We used them in the past and had really good luck with them as well, So, I can't say enough good about that group down there. They're out of Ohio, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So now let's jump over. Okay, so we're talking about getting bows tuned and getting them ready. Let's talk about a new bow. So I just happen to have a new bow. I just got mine in, and we might talk about that a little bit later. But if I was to buy that from you, come in and get my bow, or somebody else says, I want X, Y, or Z bow, whichever one it might be. From the time they lay down the cash, getting it set up and getting it home, I mean, what kind of time frame? Still that same type, maybe less than a week?
If we have the bow in stock, most of our sales are same day. I mean, we'll set them up on the spot from, start to finish, tune them, paper tune them, whatever the customer wants, if time allows and, depending on the day. Mm-hmm. That's always an option. If it's late in the day or we're just overwhelmed with customers and somebody says, hey, I just want to pick everything out, pay for it, it's a day or 2 tops. We'll have it set up, ready to go for them. Now, special order.
And tell you what, just a reminder to people, when you're going to go buy a bow, make sure you spend the time to shoot different bows and make sure you're in plan to spend a couple hours, in this case with Derek, just shooting and shooting the different bows. I can't stress that enough. Mike and I have talked to a bunch of people, and we've told them over and over, this isn't something you run in the store, you look at, you grab it off the shelf, and you run out. It's something you got to shoot for fit and feel.
Absolutely. Takes time to set those things up, so... Are you seeing more people come in and buy the package, like the ready to shoot or right to field, what we call ready to go out and hunt with bow? Or are you still seeing a lot of guys? Because I know most archers are, especially the high enders, people buy the high end gear, are really picky about the specifics, and they want to put their own things in a certain brand of this and certain brand of that. Or you see both?
A lot of both. Especially the package bows seem to sell really well late. Later in August and September, closer to season. For the most part, the high-end bows seem to sell pretty much year-round now. And you're right, those guys, they want, a lot of those guys want top-of-the-line everything, and they want specific everything. They want exactly what they want, and if you don't have it, they'll either order it or they'll have you order it. But there's not a lot of guys that want the high-end bow and just basic package. They want the good stuff.
Yeah, it's right down to the camo pattern has to match.
Right. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we always talk about girls and their shoes, and they're so picky with matching colors. But man, when it comes to camo and our bows and stuff like that, we are ultra picky when it comes to making that stuff look good. Deer don't care.
You get both. You get guys that have to have everything match. Everything has to be exactly perfect color combo. And you get a lot of guys that I don't care what it looks like. I just want to kill a deer.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's all that really matters, I suppose.
Yeah, I've not seen a deer come by and go, man, that drop away rust has got a different camo pattern than what's on the limbs.
Right.
So.
Yep.
That's good stuff. So getting back to a little bit about you now. How long have you been wrenching on bows? I mean, where did you pick this up at? Give us a little history about yourself.
I started working at KD Outdoors in Waterford when I was 17 or 18. I think it must have been 18, 98. I don't even remember. I know I was 17 right before my 18th birthday. But anyway, it was my senior year of high school. I worked there. It was an archery shop / bait shop. I actually had bigger fishing department than archery, but we sold a lot of bows out of there. It was the hot spot in that area back then. I think I was there for about 5 years or so. Actually did 1 year. We're doing some apprentice ironwork type work, and then actually went and worked at Gander Mountain for a couple different spells, and ended up being department manager, actually fishing, apparel, and hunting at different times in my career there. And then was approached with an opportunity to come work at SunRy, and at first was skeptical. At the time, I didn't know Gander Mountain was going to be gone now anyway, but right. So it seemed like a risk to leave there in a management position to go to an archery pro shop, just in the grand scheme of things. But I think the risk was worth it at this point. It's been better than I could have imagined as far as the success of the store and my success there. So it's been a good choice.
You brought up something that just made me kind of think back. I remember back in the day when I first picked up a bow, and I remember in Flint there used to be a little shop over on the Flint River between Flushing and Flint that my dad took me to. And then we went from there, we moved out to Fenton area, and I went to Brown's out in Goodrich. And that was like a hardware store, bait store type thing. And back in the day, I remember it just seemed like that's where you went for archery gear. If you didn't have a big box store around, you went to, it was almost like bait stores. And then all of a sudden, there was this shift, this paradigm shift, if you want to call it that, to where, like you said, it went to the big box stores and then to the pro shops. And now, pro shops, that's it. That's the go-to place to get your stuff taken care of. And like you said, Gander's gone now. I mean, it just, the way the industry has turned is simply amazing, but it's really getting down to a niche now where the service end of it is, it's hands-on with the customer, I guess, and that's what I see in your guys' place.
Yeah, it's pro shop or nothing if you want a bow worked on, unless you're doing it yourself anymore. The box stores, when I started at Gander Mountain, we had 3 full-time archery employees, and we had actually a pretty substantial archery department. And there were guys there that could work in the pro shops. I mean, we knew what we were doing. I actually had a pretty good deal going on there. A lot of customers that I met there, I'm still working with today. So it went from that to when I left Gander Mountain, there was not any employee in the store designated to archery. It just was that small of a niche, and they had kind of pushed it to the back burner, really getting away from any service because they don't want to spend any time. They want you to sell something. They want you out of there. And, that's maybe the reason they're not around anymore. I couldn't say for sure, but that was my impression of the situation as far as archery went.
Well, I think to sell something, you got to have some customer service, don't you, Danny?
Yeah, you kind of, Derek, you kind of hit the nail right on the head about a pro shop and the customer service and the feeling you're starting to get in some of these big box stores that it's becoming a numbers game, and it's a sales game, and it's a get in, get out with a sale, not a get in, enjoy your time there buying whatever bow you might be, or even a gun for that matter. But it's just amazing how it's kind of shifting in those big box stores to that effect. It's just a sales game, and it kind of stinks. It really does. So it makes places like SunRy to us so much important to be able to send somebody over to you guys, and knowing that you're going to take care of them, you're going to spend the time with them, whether it be 30 minutes, maybe they're there for 2 hours. I don't know, but it's that personal touch that you put on with that person and go from there.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the customers over the years have become, they're friends of mine. They're not just customers. They've become friends. I hunt with them. I do things with them. We go shed hunting, stuff like that. It's much more than just a sales game, for sure.
It's about building relationships, and I think that's the important thing in the outdoor industry. I mean, Pete Shepley, when we talked to him at ATA last year and the year before, it's about building those relationships and getting people into archery and sustaining that, because we need this influx of new shooters coming in, especially from the youth, whether it be the Shoot in the School program or whether it be JOAD or what have you, working with your local clubs. I think that's where it needs to come from, is that personal touch and that personal service, like you guys offer. So
yeah, for sure.
So I tell you what, we're bumping up here close to another break, so let's take another step outside. We come back, we'll continue the conversation. So we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market, has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back, third segment of the show. You know, Danny, you sent me a picture earlier. Before, Tim, I'm going to, or not, Derek, we're going to get off the subject here for just a second, but I've got to throw this picture up. What's the deal, man? You're out on a lake, chilling with a big smile on your face, just taking it easy. What's up with that?
That's what happens in the UP when you have I think it was 80 degrees today, maybe 82. It was clear blue sky. Got out on the lake, did some fishing today. The girls did some kayaking. It was total relaxation of the utmost kind, and that what put smiles on your face. Not going to lie.
I guess.
I got up here Friday. Actually, it was great driving till I got to about Iron County, and then it rained. But that's the last I seen of the rain was when I got here. And then ever since then, it's been blue skies, 80s. It's supposed to get warm starting tomorrow, higher 80s and into the 90s as we get further into the week. But, yeah, that was earlier today. I got out, and, yeah, it was fun and relaxing. I tell you what, nothing better than the soul than being out on the water or in the woods. We were out in the woods. We pulled camera cards, and you're lucky, Derek. I'm going to tell you that right now because we have been pulling ticks off us like rice in a box because I literally just walked out of the cabin, and I don't know how this happened, but I looked down on my hand and there was a tick. And I was pulling ticks off of us left and right, and all we've done is just pulled camera cards so far. So,
you know,
what pain.
It's good that a little bit of pain and suffering is coming to you up there. I mean, you know, Derek's cutting trees today. I'm sitting here at home, you know, getting things ready for the show, and you're up there having fun. But you know what? Let the ticks eat you up.
Well, thanks. That's a whole lot.
Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough.
I tell you what, you'll feel them because, man, they are plentiful. My daughter found one at 3 o'clock in the morning this morning crawling on her ear, and I guess she moved pretty quick to get out of bed. So,
well, I know I got covered up in the turkey season when Danny and I were up at my place up near Alpena, man, and I just got covered in them. I think I picked over 20 off in 4 days, 3 days.
Yep, exactly. Oh, hey, Derek, speaking of Sunrise, do you guys have a website people can go to and check out the store and whatnot and where you're located?
Yeah, we do have a website. It's actually under construction. We're probably going to have a new one within a month or two, but it's sunrisearchery.com. You know, we've always spelled the name a little bit different. It's SUNRYS archery.com. And it's a little bit, I'll be honest with you, it is a little bit outdated. That's why we're redoing it. We should be launching that hopefully by the busy season. We're shooting for August. We'll see how that works out, but that's our plan anyway.
Oh, cool. That's a good deal. And I tell you what, like you said, you're into hunting and everything like that, get you into the bows and doing that. And we pulled our camera cards, and we seem to be picking up a lot of bears, coyotes, deer are looking pretty healthy. We got some young ones that came into the camp, and it's looking promising. So for people out there, starting now, get out there, get your bows ready, start shooting. It's never too late to shoot. You can always shoot early. Trust me.
I was out shooting today.
You got to keep shooting. You got
to pick that bow up and put it in your hand and keep shooting and shoot and shoot. You know, it's something you got to stick with. It's not like a rifle where you can just pick it up and point and aim and go bang. It takes practice.
I don't get to shoot my own bow enough. I have to shoot everybody else's all day. So at least it keeps me in shooting shape. But I honestly don't get to shoot my bow nearly enough. I mean, enough to hunt, but not as much as I'd like, for sure.
You know what? You bring up an interesting point. I've never really asked anybody this, but I'm going to now. So you're in there tuning bows all day. You're shooting other bows, making sure that they're firing correctly and all that. Is it odd when you pick up your own bow? Does it take time to get back accustomed to that grip and that feel and the whole 9 yards going through your process in releasing that arrow?
For me, not so much. I've always, since I've been working in the shops, I've always owned usually multiple bows and usually multiple branded bows, so they always have a little bit different feel.
Okay.
Anyways, so it's not a hard transition for me, honestly.
Okay, honestly now, how many bows do you have sitting at your house that are yours?
None at my house. They're all at the store.
Oh, okay.
But I right now I have 4 bows.
Okay, fair enough. I just wondered, if there's like
too
guns.
crazy.
Okay, nothing crazy. Do you shoot target? Or, I mean, competitively?
Not really. I've shot some spot leagues. I've competed with myself, never in any real competition.
Right.
A couple 3D shoots. I think I shot one IBO shoot probably 5 years ago. I just don't, I've got 3 daughters, 2 of them young, so I don't have a ton of time, on my days off to go do more archery, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It took me a while before. Well, Danny and I just picked up the target game 2 winters ago. We shot. This was our second season this last winter, and life gets in the way of things, and it takes a while. Kids grow up, and then you've got more time to do stuff like that, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, just to let you know, there's somebody on here that said if we need help on the personal side, they'd be more than willing to help. And your mom is watching.
I'm sure she is.
So the pressure's on. Matter of fact, Danny, I got a question to ask him when we get to the personal side that she has thrown our way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So
it's good
when Mom's watching. It's from my childhood. From my childhood, I won't remember it.
Oh, is that what it is?
My memory from my childhood, I don't remember much, unfortunately. I had a great childhood, but I don't remember a lot for whatever reason. I can remember every deer I ever saw, but don't ask me what I did when I was 10,
Right. So
I get it. I totally get it.
Well, we're kind of sticking on track here with getting ready for season and shooting and all that kind of stuff. What's probably the most overlooked item that a hunter makes when he gets ready to go hunting, on his bow, and says, man, I should have had that changed, or maybe doesn't even think about getting it changed or getting it tuned? What's probably the most common thing that we overlook as hunters?
I don't know. It's hard to pick just one thing. There's so many things that I see that are easy to pick out when guys are shooting, from simple things like I think 50% or more of guys shoot, that shoot a wrist strap style release, shoot them too long. Mm-hmm. It's super common. And just making a slight adjustment on somebody's release, stuff like that, it makes a huge difference. Not making sure they've got arrows, enough arrows when hunting season rolls around. Mm-hmm. Not having their strings looked at. We get every year the first week of October, we get a flood of guys in with broken cable, broken string. They just didn't have it looked at and neglected it. Mm-hmm. Stuff that can cost you a week in the woods. For some guys that's a big deal.
Right. I
don't know that I can say just one thing, but there's a bunch of things out there.
So basically, it's just important to, like you said, be shooting all the time so you're familiar with your gear. And if something needs fixed or adjusting, make sure you get it done instead of waiting.
Yeah. And we don't charge anything to give you an opinion,
Right.
You bring your bow in and we just look at it. Does it need strings and cables? It doesn't cost you $1. And we're going to make a recommendation, and that's all it is. If you decide not to go with the recommendation, it is what it is. That's your choice. But it doesn't cost anything to have it looked at.
It's the old adage, pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I tell you what, Derek, speaking on that side of it, for just a few minutes of maybe you looking at a bow or just the person themselves overlooking their equipment, number one factor is safety. Like we talk about tree stand safety, it's also bow safety. You don't need that bow or crossbow exploding in your hands or when you go to shoot it and causing something severe damage or whatever might happen, unfortunately. So take the time. Get to look at your strings, cables, whatever your equipment, and make sure that you're safe.
For sure. Crossbows especially. We've heard and seen some pretty gruesome stuff with crossbows.
I know somebody personally who lost the tip of their thumb. It's not a pretty sight. Just that's just being careless, not because something went wrong with the crossbow. Just putting things in the wrong place at the wrong time, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, well, looking ahead to the rest of the year, I know in the past, a lot of the places have these events at their shop. You got anything coming up, here in the next month or two? Especially since we've been closed down for the last 3 or 4 months with COVID. What are you guys planning on, coming up here the end of summer?
We've typically had an event the last weekend in August or thereabouts, depending on when the holiday fell with Labor Day and that. But I'm not sure. That's always had a big turnout. We could have 50 to 75 people in the store at any given moment that day or that weekend. And I don't know if that's going to be, kosher this year. I don't know if we're going to be able to do stuff like that. So it's still up in the air as far as that goes. I may do something along the lines of spreading out some type of sale or event, maybe have a weekly special for a month straight, something different each week or something. I've got a few different ideas. I'm not sure what we're going to do. The other thing we are 90%, I think, going to do is we're going to host a 3D shoot at Land O'Lakes. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that.
Matter of fact, Billy's on right now. He's watching.
Yep. I've been talking to Billy about that. Great guy. So I think that's pretty much a done deal. So we're looking at the dilemma for me was trying to find a weekend, and I wanted to do it later when more people have their mind on hunting. So I wanted to try to push it into September.
Okay.
But you're running up against Labor Day. You got the youth hunt, and I think they had another event going. So we're probably going to do it the same weekend as the youth hunt, which isn't the perfect scenario, but it's kind of the best scenario for what we had to work with. And I had to struggle with it personally a little bit because my middle daughter's gotten into hunting enough where she, even at the age of 7, may want to deer hunt this fall. So from a personal standpoint, that was weighing on me as well. But I think we could still pull off at least some evening hunts and pull off that shoot as well. So I think that's what we're going to roll with. We still got to work out all the particulars, but it looks like that's a go.
Okay. Well, Billy, he just chimed in here. He said September 12th and 13th at Land O'Lakes.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's coming up quick, and I know that's 2 weeks after tax. So if Danny and I have arrows left, we'll come over and shoot.
Yeah. You guys can go live out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, we'd love to be able. We shot over there a couple times. What was it, 2 summers ago? I'd come out after work and hang out with Danny and fling arrows. So very nice place over there. Really like it.
Yeah, they got a nice piece of land over there. They got a lot of terrain and it's a nice piece of woods.
Yeah. And they're not as, how do I want to put this? They're not as mean about setting the targets up as they are at TAC.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it.
They're a little more forgiving.
Yeah, I've talked to them though. I do like stretching it out. There's so many guys that like that element of it now. I mean, there's going to be plenty of reasonable shots, but I asked him if we could push it to at least 60, and he thinks we can on at least a handful of targets. So we'll see what we can do. It should be a good time. I'm hoping to have some pro staffers help set the course. Some of the guys that shoot a lot more than I do, especially 3D, use their input and make it a fun but still challenging for the guys that want it to be. There'll be multiple stakes, for your comfort level. There's no pressure. There's no trophies, no championships on the line. It's just all fun.
That's right.
So it should be a good time.
It's just getting out there and getting ready for season. But you're right. There's something about when you stretch it out. I've got my archery lane cut in here at the house, and I can shoot 50 in the backyard. And when I open the fence up though, and I can step out to 90, and there's just something, I don't know what it is, magical when you let that arrow fly and you watch and you wait to hear the thump and see where it hit. When you stretch it out, it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. It makes you a lot better shot, too.
Absolutely.
For those of you that don't shoot beyond your comfort zone, you should, even if you're not going to shoot that far at an animal, just because it makes your comfort zone feel much more comfortable.
That much easier.
Yeah, it's like a chip shot.
Right, exactly.
Billy says the all-new mean course, so he's going to get mean with. Okay.
All right.
we'll have to come over and check it out. So. He says the course their building's going to be crazy awesome, all new. So good. It's good to hear.
Excellent.
Oh, and so happens that falls on your birthday, Derek, according to your mom.
It does. That is September 12th is my birthday.
We're finding all kinds of stuff out.
That wasn't as important as the youth hunt, but it is what it is.
Right. I hear you. I tell you what, let's step outside. We'll take our last break. We come back. Let's have a little bit of fun. We'll get a bit into the personal side and then chit-chat a little more. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at PSEArchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Danny's been chomping at the bit here,
I haven't been chomping at the bit. I've just been relaxing.
Before Danny asks his normal questions, Derek, we got to ask, because your mom asked us to ask this. It says, ask him about his first night hunting.
It's a good story. We didn't have youth hunts back then, so I had to wait till I was 12 to bow hunt.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I'd been shooting, for years, practicing. Honestly, I went hunting with my dad one time, sat with him in a tree stand, I think when I was 11 the year before. And the only night I went, he shot a deer, a nice big doe. So, my expectations were that when you went hunting, you shot a deer. And so when I was, my first year I could hunt, I turned 12 in September, so I was, fresh being 12. We hung a stand with me and my dad hung a stand that afternoon. I should say he hung the stand. I wasn't really old enough, but that afternoon on October 1st, he put me in the tree, told me he was going to be a couple hundred yards this direction. I don't even know what direction that was. And that if I needed help or shot something, to walk that way till I hit the 2-track and, holler for him and he'd come get me. And, I don't know how long I was in the stand, hour and a half. Hadn't seen a deer. Didn't really know what to listen for, I was just a kid. But, never, one thing I do remember as a kid is hearing footsteps of a deer coming for the first time in a stand by myself. Looked over my left shoulder and here come a buck down the hill. Walked down right in front of me, gave me a 20-yard shot. I drew back, let it fly, and arrow hit its mark. Deer ran off like crazy. It ran straight towards where my dad told me to go. So I climbed out of the stand, walked over to the 2-track, stopped, started yelling for him, and I think he thought I either was scared or I don't know what he thought. I think he thought I was just scared of the dark and wanted to go home or whatever. I'm not sure, but he starts hollering back that he's coming. I can hear him getting closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden I hear the steps stop. And he starts yelling, "Derek, your deer is right here. Your deer is right here." And I'm like, "What?" And he literally stumbled across my deer with my arrow sticking out of the side of it as he was coming to get me, laying there. So it was, a moment I'm sure he'll never forget. I'll never forget it. My grandpa was out hunting that night too. There was a lot of emotions, even thinking about it now. But
absolutely,
great memory.
Absolutely. Holy cow, that's awesome.
My first buck was when I was hunting with my dad, and first deer I ever killed. And same thing, man. It's just I can't talk about it without bringing tears to my eyes, and that's what's so great about bow hunting or hunting in general is the fact that it's memories. It's being with family. Your dad, your grandpa, friends. Now maybe your daughters, and Danny and I have said this so many times: is getting people involved in this outdoor thing that we do. Is just good for the soul, man. It's good stuff. Well, Danny, I guess that takes away his most memorable hunt.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be, but we'll still ask that question. But Derek, like I said, we like to ask our interviewees some personal questions, not too personal, just some fun little questions that we like to ask. One of the first questions is, obviously you've been hunting since you're 12. When you're out in the stand and you're sitting out there, you got your backpack, whatever, you got your pockets. What's like your go-to snack to have out in the stand? Like, what do you need to have for that hunt?
I'm not a big tree stand snacker, to be honest with you. If I'm going to do a long sit, I've got a bottle of water or two, and then I forget what they're even called, the oats and honey bars. I think the green packages. I couldn't even tell you what they are, but that's about it. Some type of granola bar snack, maybe a sandwich if it's an all-day sit, but I've never been a big tree stand snacker. I'm not sure why, just never have been.
Yeah, I get what you mean, though. You know, it's
sorry for the boring answer.
Yeah, no, it's when you're in a tree stand, it's got to be quiet.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so obviously, when you're traveling to and from your hunting spots, or you're going up north, or wherever you're going to do some hunting, you're listening to maybe the radio. So what does Derek listen to? Does he listen to music? Does he listen to podcasts? Does he roll the windows down and listen to the air go through the truck? I don't know. What do you do?
Good old Fred Bear. You know, that's a good one in the morning. Wake you up. I don't know. I don't have a go-to station or type of music. I hunt a lot out in Calhoun County, and I couldn't even tell you what radio stations they have out there, to be honest with you. But yeah, usually, you know, Nugent, that would come to mind, I guess.
So if you're on the road heading over to your stand, are you thinking about wind direction, what stand I'm going to hunt? I mean, is it more of that mind game than it is listening to the radio?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely hunts where I'm undecided on the drive because I have a significant drive out to where my hunting leases are. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm staying out there, it's a 10-minute drive. But yeah, there's been many times where I've changed my mind on a drive based on weather reports or changing, you know, wind direction, that kind of stuff. You know, recent information I pull off of my last trail camera pull, stuff like that. I try to use all that information to the best of my ability, and it's worked well for me. I've had quite a bit of success the last, 10, 11 years since I started hunting out in that area of the state. Killed some pretty good deer, so it's been working for me.
Awesome. That's awesome.
All right, Dan, next question.
What next question is, okay, so you're going to invite Dan and Mike over for dinner, and you're going to make us Derek's favorite meal, whether it be fish, venison, whatever it is. What's your favorite go-to meal that you would make us?
I'd grill backstraps for sure.
I like
grilled
that.
Venison backstraps.
You can't go wrong with that.
I really honed my grilling skills in quarantine, so I think my wife would even agree with that.
Okay, so now you got to give up some of the secrets. What have you perfected on the grill?
I think just the timing and just being confident with the amount of time and running with it, and not overcooking stuff, not undercooking stuff. Just stick to what you want to do and trust it. Whether it's pork chops, my wife likes grilled pork chops. My kids love venison steaks. All three of my girls love them. They really like when we kill a turkey. They love turkey poppers. We do turkey on the grill wrapped in bacon, so that's a family favorite for sure. But yeah, it's just the confidence in it, the grill. I think in the past it's always like never sure if you're doing it right, no way to really know, and it's just trial and error.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from my youngest boy. He's kind of been the grill master since he came home from college and all this COVID stuff. And he said the same thing. He says, you just got to let it go, Dad, and trust it. He says, and he shows me a couple little tips about, how clear the liquid is that comes out, the juice, or how firm it is. And he's trying to teach me all that stuff because I'm slamming on the grill, flip it over a couple times, smash it a couple times. And, hey, it's good to go.
We've got, my aunt turned us on to a seasoning too that is really good on everything, and it's called Miracle Blend. I couldn't tell you where she gets it, somewhere up in the northwest part of the state. But ever since she turned us on to that, I mean, that stuff's really good on any meat. My kids put it on popcorn. It's crazy. It's really good stuff.
If you find something you like and you stick with it, it's amazing how far you can go with things and make it and transition it from just to meat. Like the Rebel 6 stuff, I put that on my popcorn as well. It's starting to find new uses for seasonings on different foods. Yeah. That's one thing I guess I've kind of learned over the last year, especially during COVID. I'm starting to experiment with a few more odds and ends. So, Danny, what else you got?
Actually, unless he wants to change his answer, usually the last question that we save is one of your most memorable hunting moments that you would want to tell us if we were sitting around a campfire. What would that be? And if you're not going to change, if you want to keep your answer when you were your first one,
I've got some good stories, so I can give you another one.
All right.
That one's probably number one from an emotional standpoint, but it wasn't a giant buck, and nowadays that's kind of what I'm looking for. So probably my first really good mature buck back in 2009. This when I was working at Gander Mountain, and just through relationship with a customer, kind of what we talked about before, getting to know customers. Started talking with a guy, and he had a lease out in the Calhoun County area. They had a bunch of leases, group of guys, and they were potentially going to have some openings coming up for the following season. And I was interested. He said, "How about I take you out there this fall for a couple days just as a guest? We'll put you in a stand. You can see a couple of the farms. We'll see what you think about it." And I was all for it. I'd never hunted anywhere really other than home at that point. And then I did go to Illinois for a couple of years there, but hadn't ever hunted anywhere outside of my home here in Michigan. And so I took him up on it. Ended up working out that it was last week of October, so it was getting heavy into the pre-rut. He put me in a spot in the morning. I'm walking in the dark, blind, no idea where I'm going. Put me in a stand. We saw a handful of deer, a couple bucks, nothing big. But after the hunt, I said, "Hey man, I've seen enough. Property looks great. I've seen a couple other farms just driving around. I'm in regardless. I don't need to kill a deer or see a big deer to want to hunt out here." So he's like, "Well, I really like to put you on, have a good hunt tonight. So I'm going to put you in one of our better spots." And I'm like, "Yeah, you really don't need to do that." I was like, "I don't want to upset somebody else that's a paying member, and go hunt somebody's spot." And he said, No, we're going to put you in there. And he puts me in a spot, and just walking in, it was one of those spots where you just felt something was going to happen. There was fresh sign, big rubs and scrapes as we're walking in. He puts me in the tree again, a piece of property I'd never stepped foot on. And he had happened to show me a trail cam picture of a particular buck 2 or 3 different times in the summer, different camera pictures that he had kind of wanting my opinion on how big I thought the deer was. And it was a big 9-pointer. I knew it was 130-inch plus buck, really good buck. And he, when he put me in a stand, he said, this is where that buck's been hanging out. And I said, "Okay, the odds of me seeing him aren't great, but that's good to know." Well, as the night progresses, I'm starting to see quite a few does and a couple small bucks, and then all of a sudden there's flooded timber about 25 yards from me. It's all flooded timber for about 100 yards, and on the other side of it there's a dry strip. And I catch movement, put the binoculars up, and it's that buck standing there on the other side of that flooded timber. I immediately recognize him. And he's following a doe, and they're kind of parallel in the flooded timber. All of a sudden the doe turns and walks right towards me. He starts walking through the water. It was like a scene out of a movie. She's walking through the water, and I can see the reflection, and I can see his reflection following her. And it was really cool. They come into my right, and it's getting low light. I can feel the thermals dropping, and if you've ever hunted around water, in the last hour of daylight, your thermals are going right to that water. So I knew it was going to be pretty touchy on whether I was going to get him in range or not, based on the wind and what I was feeling, happen. And the doe, sure enough, when she turned, got across the water, she turned and started paralleling the water on my side, and she got out right in a perfect shooting lane at 20 yards and just froze, and knew something wasn't right. And the buck the whole time was staying about 30 yards behind her, and she stood there for what felt like 10 minutes. It was probably 1 or 2, but it felt like 10 minutes. I think the buck got frustrated that the doe quit moving, and because there was a couple scrapes on the other side of my tree, he decided, I guess, he was going to come work those scrapes while she was doing whatever she was doing. He walked on a straight line from where he was right to the base of my tree, and I'll never forget just feeling like I was in a straitjacket because of the doe having this buck, big buck, directly underneath me and not being able to do anything about it. There was no way I could move. The doe would have busted me for sure. So I had to just stand there while he worked a scrape, worked a rub. Literally, the tree was rubbing, the branches were hitting the tree that I was in at my level. So it was just, the whole thing was just kind of surreal. Finally, he had enough of her not moving, I guess, and he decided he was going to go start pushing her, nudging her, and he turned and walked from my tree directly to her, hard-quartered away. He got to about 5 or 6 yards, and it was kind of one of those decisions I made that it's now or never, because he's either going to bump the doe and she's going to take off and he's going to run after her, or I got to try to draw now and take the chances of busting her myself. And I decided it was now or never. I drew back. She stayed locked in position. I still to this day remember getting the pin on the deer, and I remember seeing a branch that was a little bit on the low side in the way, and took just kind of a shuffle forward on the stand and kind of leaned forward and let it fly. Arrow hit perfect, and that buck ran right out into that flooded timber and did a cartwheel in the water. Another kind of visual moment you'll never forget. At the time, by far my biggest buck. Killed a couple better ones since, but that's probably, as far as the big bucks, the most memorable hunt. Caught quite a bit of flack from the guys in the group that were, members. A couple of them probably weren't the happiest about it, but
right.
Well, what am I going to do?
Right,
not shoot him.
Yeah, and this is the guy you wanted to bring in as a new member, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's awesome, man.
That was an awesome story.
He was like a 134-inch 9-pointer, so good, heavy, tall. He's in the shop. The mount's up in the shop.
When we stop in, you got to show it to us.
Yeah, my first really good buck.
That is awesome. And like you said, it just unfolds like a scene in a movie. It's just, when that stuff happens, man, it's magical. There's no other way to describe it when something like that happens.
Yep.
I'm
addicted to it. That's all I think about.
365, right? Yeah.
For real.
It's.
I used to do a lot of fishing. I used to do a lot of other things, and now anymore, if I have a day off and I don't have stuff to do with the family, I'm doing something to try to improve my odds to kill a big deer the following year. Whether it's trail cameras, moving a stand, hanging a stand, shed hunting, scouting. I mean, that's pretty much every free day. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's. People say it's an addiction. No, it's just it's an obsession. It's a lifestyle. I mean, that's kind of ingrained in us. I've gotten heavy into the habitat management, and deer management, and that's kind of where my passion lies right now. And it's 365. When I'm not working or something here with the family, if I've got free time, I'm thinking about how do I make things better for the next season. And I think it makes you a better hunter. It just pushes you to that next level, so to speak. And Billy said something here a few minutes ago that we were been talking about, memories and things. He says you don't make memories like that playing video games, and that's so true. You got to get these kids out, get them involved in the outdoors. Can't say that enough. Is that something you're seeing more over at the shop? Are you starting to see more youngsters get involved, or you think we're lacking in that area? Do we need more of a push?
We see a lot of it because there's a couple big NAS programs in our area. Heartland's a really big one. Howell's really got a big program going. Fowlerville, Swartz Creek. We work with a lot of those kids, and a lot of them transition from that program to either hunting or tournament archery. So that's been helpful, I think, for sure, and I think it's a big-time grower. So I think we'll see more and more schools do that as we go forward.
Well, that's if somebody's watching the show tonight and just interested in archery and maybe thinking about it, get over to the shop. Check out what they've got to offer over there, and talk with Derek or anybody else that might be in the shop there to get you pointed in the right direction. Derek, give them. You got the website again, Facebook. Mention how else they can get a hold of you guys.
Yeah, you can get on the website, Facebook. You can call us at 810-936-0066. We're running Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and then Saturdays, 10 to 5 until August. We're going to change up our busy season hours this year. We used to do 10 to 8, and I think we're going to do 9 to 7 this year instead during the week. Open a little earlier for those guys that maybe can catch us before work and not be out so late. And then I think we're going to do 9 to 5 Saturday and 9 to 3 on Sundays, and that'll be just August and September only. Okay. Otherwise, it'll be normal hours year-round.
Okay. Well, Danny, you got anything else you want to throw at him real quick?
No, I think we've learned a lot about SunRy and Derek himself tonight, and I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to get to know him, get over to the shop, visit the shop, and enjoy. All
right. I tell you what, for the podcast portion, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. We'll hang on to the live stream here for a few more minutes. But for those of you on the podcast, make sure if you would share the show for us, give us a follow, give us a like, go over to our social media pages and do the same there. And if you go over to iTunes, give us a review over there. That helps us as well. So that'll do it for us this week. Danny, what do we got planned? We haven't really got anything planned per se just yet for next week. Is that right?
Nothing is in stone for next weekend.
Okay,
it's the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, 4th of July. So we're talking about pre-recording a show, and if that happens, we'll have one out. If not, we might take the week off. But the following week after that, we've got stuff planned all the way into August now. So, the interviews are lining up, and we got some really good people coming on, so stay tuned. That'll do it for us this week. We'll be back again next week. If we don't drop a show next week, we'll be back again the following week. Y'all take care. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Bait,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Plain Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.